going on, guys? My name is Zack, HDA Cigars. We're back with another episode of the HDA Lounge Life podcast. I'm here with my guest, Sam, from Just The Tip, and we're excited to bring another episode to you. Sam, thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me, man. When we decided that we were going to do this series, you were towards the very top of the list of guys that we wanted to make sure that we linked up with, man. You've been such a good friend to HDA. You've embraced us very early on, and man, it's been an absolutely fun ride so far, man.
That's what you make good stuff. It's easy.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. So, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, Just The Tip Cigars, South Park, Pennsylvania. Primarily I hate the word boutique, but boutique shop. We run about 60-40 on that. We're about 60% boutique, 40% not. Try and do things a little bit different, where we actually go into the humidor with everybody every time. Actually guide people through, help them out,
sure.
Build profiles for you, stuff like that. We record stuff in the system to help kind of guide and remember what it was that you had last time. I worked real hard on like a pre-described, if then for whenever new people came in. So people that were new to cigar smoking, to kind of not give them the experience I had getting going.
Sure.
When I first got into cigars, I'd walk into a place and they just kept handing me these really light Connecticut's, and here you're new.
They're moving what the shop wants to move, potentially, versus what they think, might be a true fit for you.
I would say, they're trying to move that, but a lot of guys just playing it safe. They
Sure.
just handed me the Connecticut, like, I don't want to blow this guy's brains out with this cigar. And then finally one day went into a shop and the guy started asking me questions. And I told him, I was like, I'm frustrated with the cigar thing. Like, I enjoy it, but I'm like almost bored all the time. And he starts asking me other questions like, hey, did you ever smoke cigarettes, or how do you drink your coffee? And I'm like, yeah, at the time I smoked 3 packs a day of Marlboro Reds. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, we're going to skip this whole light section. So we started going into heavy Maduros, heavy stuff like that. And he gave me a La Gloria Cubana Siri Armaduro.
Okay.
And it was the first cigar I had that as soon as I hit it, I went, whoa, because there's all this stuff that I never knew existed.
Right.
So that was kind of, the motivation to doing things a little bit differently. So we really work to make sure people can get some help and get, what they want to smoke figured out and started.
Yeah, it's a tailored experience, right?
Yeah.
It's the experience that you're accommodating to your regulars, but you're also accommodating to the guy who has just walked in for the first time, the gal who has never smoked a cigar. Like it's that full suite of experiences.
Yep. And as a happy byproduct of it, wives wanting gifts for their husbands, I have record of who it is and what he smoked, so it makes life a little easier on that side.
There you go. Oh,
too.
yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Yeah, so like a wife comes in, I know he comes here all the time.
Yep.
I want to buy him a box of cigars. What do I get? Oh, well, this is what he's been smoking. And you don't have to rely on the wife to try and remember what it is that he smokes.
Yeah, I mean, at that point,
that's nice. Yeah.
My general set of questions is, do you want to get him something that we know he likes? Do you want to get him something new along the lines of what he likes? Or do you want to get him something he wouldn't buy himself? So, do you want me to give you, do you want to Davidoff late hour because you want to buy him something that he just wouldn't spend that much money on himself? Yep. Or you just give him, he likes, the Descending Shadows. That's what he smokes. That's all he smokes. Give me that. Okay. So it gives us that opportunity to actually have the customer interaction.
Yeah, I like that. So you mentioned you're in South Park, Pennsylvania. South Park, we're about how far outside of Pittsburgh, directionally?
About 30 minutes south.
30 minutes south, okay.
Ish. So.
Every time I hear the South Park, I'm not from here, I immediately think of going down to South Park, gonna have myself a time. Yeah, I'm sure you hear it all the time.
There was a whole branding thing that I was gonna pursue with that, and I'm glad that I didn't. But
yeah, because I gotta imagine the locals are probably freaking tired of it. If I had to guess.
It really isn't bad.
Really?
Yeah,
okay. All right.
I think because it's been around for so long. Like I think the initial beating of it, happened 25 years ago, and I think now nobody cares.
Okay.
And it gets brought up anytime somebody from out of town's in, and now it's like a cute little thing that we have, not really.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it makes sense. I can't not hear it. So, so tell me a little bit about you. What brought you to owning a cigar lounge? Geographically, what brought you to South Park, Pennsylvania? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so I mean, we chose the location. I'm from nearby, so I'm familiar with it, and familiar is always happy, makes it easy. But no, I was working my job, tons of hours, 3 little kids at home, had projects going on the side. So a normal day for me was get up super early, work 10 to 12 hours, come home, help her with the kids, get them dinner, get them in bed, and then leave and go work on a rental property or something like that. That was just my standard every day. So I came home from work one day and she says, "Give me your phone." I'm like, we've been at this for 20 years. Like, enjoy, have fun. She goes, no, not like that. She hands me a cigar, a cutter, a lighter, and a book. And she's like, "Hey, go outside, smoke this, read this. Don't come back in my house until it's gone." And I just kind of giggled a little bit. And it was her way of making me carve time out for myself to actually take a little me time each day. And so once or twice a week, she would just give me a cigar. And that's kind of what got me really started into this path. I mean, I had smoked Cubas when I rode motorcycles. They just always happened to be everywhere, and I smoked them for years. Afghanistan, just general cigar smoking guys, getting cigars, all that was always a downtime. And she knew all that, and she had put it together. So she got me back into cigars, and then sitting there reading a book turned into sitting there journaling, writing down stuff about the cigars, and that turned into the YouTube rabbit hole. And Tim from Cigars Daily was my guide for the longest time, and just watched and consumed as much stuff about him, about cigars, as I could. And then got to a point where I was able to actually leave my job and was working on a degree. And I had mentioned to her at one point, "Hey, I think I could make a run at opening a shop." And she went into her calendar and added 1 year from that date to talk about it again. Didn't tell me. So a year later, I quit my job, and she's like, "Hey, you still thinking about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, but kind of doing something else now." And she's like, "Well, start the business plan, all that." So we did, and I started with a saturation report because Pittsburgh has a lot of shops.
Yeah.
But the way our geography is, it's not as much as people think. But I mapped it all out, and everybody kind of seemed to be 15 to 20 minutes apart in a big circle. And when I mapped it all out, I was like, there's a big 30-minute section in the middle where there's nobody. So I cross-sectioned it on the map, and a pin fell in the parking lot of this building.
Legitimately? It
fell in the planter box at the entrance. So a couple months later, she's driving by and saw a now leasing sign and calls me and is like, "Hey, guess what you're doing tomorrow?" "Watching the kids." She's like, "You're going to look at a property." I'm like, "Oh, for what?" She's like, "Your cigar shop." I'm like, "Yeah, we don't have a business plan. We don't have money. We don't have, we're not, this isn't a thing." She's like, "That's cool, you go." And one of the few times her and I have really argued over something in the past was me saying, "Hey, yeah, I could make it work, but we don't have the soil to grow this in. It's just not there. We don't have the base to actually get going." She's like, "Yeah, you're too stubborn to screw this up.
Sure.
So just go for it." We fought. Oh man, did we fight back and forth over this. And finally I was like, "You know what? Screw it. I'll open it to spite you. I'll put all my effort into it. I'll work my butt off. But when it fails, you got to bail us out." And she goes, "Okay." And here we are 3 years later, and
that's awesome.
Keeps growing, and of course she's right again.
I would have to assume that a majority of the fights that are caused because of the potential of a cigar lounge opening is the opposite. It's the guy wants to open up the shop. His significant other is like, "No, there's no way. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't see the vision." So the fact that yours was the exact opposite is wildly comedic. And your wife spends a lot of time here in the shop too, right? I know I got to meet her and get to see her at PCA. So she was right there with you at PCA, and it sounds like she's very heavily involved as well, right?
Not as heavy as she'd like to be into it.
Sure.
Again, 3 kids. She has her job and she works her butt off. So, she wants to help more here, and it's actually a constant conversation. She's like, "What can I do?" I'm like, "Nothing. You're good. We got it. It just, let me be stressed for a couple days."
Sure.
But no, she covers every Monday here. She's going to be working here later today. It's not uncommon on a Saturday morning me to wake up and just be really tired, and her be like, "Yeah, you stay, I'll go." Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It gives us that exchange rate.
That support is incredible. So definitely, it sounds like she's incredibly supportive and an incredible woman. So consider yourself very lucky there, right?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. So you said you opened the shop about 3 years ago. Are you kind of the new kid on the block? Is that in this general area? Is it you're the new guy? You're the FNG, if you will?
I would say yes and no. A couple shops have opened since I opened in rapid succession. I mean, it's been quick. I mean, I just found out there's 2 new shops opening in the Pittsburgh region in the next couple months.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
so like they're popping up like crazy. So I am the FNG, but I'm really not, because I'm not as new as
Sure.
the new round.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm happy or sad that I get to skip that portion of things.
Yeah, you become the veteran really quick when you have this many people entering the market, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of become the veteran quick.
Yeah, I pushed up the seniority, really, really fast. And but I mean, our market, we've discussed before, like Pittsburgh's weird, where like I'm friends with most of the shop owners.
It is the coolest cigar market I've experienced in the United States.
Yeah,
Legitimately. Yeah.
we understand it's us against them, right? Like it's, there's always somebody trying to crush on tobacco or all that, and there's more than enough to go around, right? And if another shop opens up, I know in a lot of places guys would be upset. I love it. I'm like, if he makes 10 new smokers, that's 10 new customers for me to steal soon.
Right. Yeah. No, the reality is that, yeah, I mean, something that Lou from Lure Cigars has said that I think is a perfect example of the mentality that us in the cigar industry need to have is a rising tide raises all ships, right? And I've said it many times just because I think Lou, I think it perfectly describes the situation, is so many people feel like there's a limited amount of people that they have access to in the cigar market, a limited number of consumers. And so a lot of times brands or retailers end up fighting over each other in hopes of being able to reach a limited number of consumers, when instead maybe our focus should instead be banding together to try and bring more people into the industry. Instead of fighting with one another and trying to worry about, like, oh, well, that brand is doing something similar to what we're doing, or that shop is doing something similar to what we're doing. Instead, maybe it makes a little bit more sense to have a working relationship where we make our brands a little bit better and we do a better job of outreach, and eventually end up producing a better product to the end consumer.
Yeah, I'm a huge natural competition guy. Like I mean, I think it weeds out a lot of flaws in any kind of system, and I think one of the advantages here is each of these shops has a very unique personality to it. Yeah,
it's really cool because there's no cookie cutter shops.
Yeah.
Every shop does things a little bit different. Some are like really more higher end. You could tell that they went like, they really wanted things to be like clean, spick and span, perfect. Some shops are 50 years old, and that patina in the shop, it like shines through.
Oh.
And so like and then there's some shops that are just eclectic as hell, right?
Yeah.
And you walk into and you're like, what in the world? But they all have like different personalities, man. I mean, it's one of the whole reasons that we have this podcast, is to be able to share these really cool stories and highlight some of these really cool lounges that have those unique personalities.
It's like I enjoy, talking to different customers. Like I get a lot of guys who come in and they're apologetic that they smoke a flavored cigar, and I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like if you enjoy it, you're right. Like there's a lot of psychopaths out there that don't like mushrooms. I think you're crazy, but hey, dude, to each their own.
Yeah.
I don't judge you for that. And I think, I've got just under 600 facings in there, or sorry, just under 500 facings in there, and they're all different, and everything is unique in its way. And so like you have this whole palette to pick from as far as the cigars. I don't understand why in some markets they don't understand, like, hey, there's just different palettes for what type of shop guys want. I mean,
sure.
There's areas where a lounge wouldn't survive, but a grab and go could, be a $5 million shop. It's wild how it works, where, because, South Park's technically a bedroom community. They don't focus on business. It's all about housing and residence in South Park. And it gives a nice little vibe to it. So like, yeah, the guys want to come in and they want to hang out in here, and they want to have that personality. And I think, all the shops, that's another part of the differentiation, is like people go to the shop that makes them comfortable. It's okay to not come to my shop and say, this guy makes you more comfortable. I'm not upset. Like the shop has a different personality. The selection has its own personality. And I really enjoy that style of differentiation between us that makes it so that we can, as friends, have natural competition within the shops.
No doubt. Yeah, you guys definitely do a really good job of having that. I don't want to say frenemies, because that makes it sound like, that makes it sound a little bit harsher than it is. I think the reality is that, like exactly what you said, that natural competition, but then you also find a way to be able to all hang out together when you go to PCA.
Yeah.
It has, you know what I mean? Like, I'll say that, HDA thrives in the Pittsburgh market. And the reason that we thrive in the Pittsburgh market is because one shop owner has introduced us to another shop owner who has introduced us to another shop owner, and everybody's embraced HDA, and it's unlike any other market. I mean, there's some markets that we go into, and when HDA is exploring the market, you hear stories about people asking for like basically non-competes in the area. I'll carry you, but you can't be carried over at this other store, or you can't be carried at another store within 50 miles.
Yeah.
Those types of things are like not even existent in this area, which is a breath of fresh air. And frankly, it's one of the reasons that I think that if Pittsburgh isn't already like a top cigar market, like statistically in the country, it's rapidly progressing in that direction. Plus, you get to embrace the advantages of the advantages of Pennsylvania tobacco laws, which I think are incredibly favorable.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons you have so many of the big guys here. You have CI, Holtz, I think JR is out of PA. You have the massive conglomerates are all out of this region for a reason too, which is exactly that, the tax and the business benefits of it. But because of that, it gives us access to more. It gives us, more favorable terms on, we get prioritized a little bit as opposed to some regions with some of the bigger companies, because you know what? Yeah, we know they're going to move the product. Why? Because they just do.
Yeah.
Something I'd like to see is how, like we have our seasonal changes here in Pittsburgh. And I was talking to a guy from Florida that has a shop the other day, and he was saying like it's funny how inverted it is, because in the summer, it slows down
because nobody wants to go outside and sit in the 100-degree swamp
and bake.
And
I'm like,
smoke.
Wait, hit the brakes. Hold on. When it drops 10 degrees here, my sales go down 10%. So like, what are you talking? I'd love to see like a national version of that to like actually understand the market on it, because I think that kind of stuff is just intriguing.
Yeah, almost like a heat map, if you will, on like when cigars or when lounges are most popular, when they do best business, and that would be really interesting. I got to imagine in what we've seen in interacting with shops all across the country is exactly that, is that the Northeast, or the North in general, tends to come October, November timeframe really slow down, and then have like a surge right before Christmas, and then immediately after Christmas really slow down.
It just shut off. It just stops.
And then really shut down. And then as things start warming up, it starts picking back up. That's what we've seen. And then down south, I think you're exactly right. I think kind of similar, but reverse. Probably still immediately after Christmas, having that drop, but then picks back up a little bit more rapidly and then cools off. That's really interesting, man. But that's one of the reasons that we wanted to really start this podcast in this area, in the Northeast at the time frame that we did. It's because we really wanted to make sure that we're getting the stories out during a time frame that tends to be a little bit more dead for some of these shops as well. So that way we can spread the word. So that way people know, hey man, go out. You can still support your local lounge. If anything, you should be going during the winter months, and you should be smoking more cigars, because that's your opportunity to come in and enjoy like a warm lounge where you can actually smoke a cigar.
Well, it's funny. So when I went to open the lounge, naturally my parents thought I had lost my mind. Mm-hmm. I did a road trip with my dad for a couple weeks, and we hit shops all over the Midwest, and just every day,
really cool.
2-3 weeks of just hitting shops. And I figured, if I'm going to do this, I want to see how other people are doing it, but I don't want to step on people's toes. Like, I don't want to go around and ask these guys, hey, how's this and this work?
So you're going out of the market.
So I went out of the area, and I hit, Tennessee. We hit a bunch around Nashville. And we went as far as Amarillo West, and like, we just hit a ton of shops. And we were driving, and I told my dad, I'm like, yeah, it's just, figuring out what to do in the winter. He's like, what do you mean? That's going to be your busy time. In the cigar world, I am busiest and I do the most work when I make the least money. So I'm slammed in here all winter long.
Physically in the lounge.
Butts in chairs, emptying ashtrays, having to clean, scrub, just the general, upkeep of it.
Yeah.
But in the summer, let's say I've got 15 guys in here. Each guy has 2 cigars. Congratulations, we're at 30. Well, that's a box and a half of HDA, and one guy can come in and grab a box or a bundle and leave, and I made 2/3 of what I did all day. And it's just wild how, because like
the grab and goes, right? Yeah.
Well, but people see and they're like, oh, the lounge is busy, it must be doing great. And it's like, yes.
Yes, but
that's what keeps it open, and that's what keeps the shop going, is the wintertime build up of people hanging out in the lounge, smoking 1 or 2 at a time. And I think that's a big motivation for places like me to have the lounge.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're simply relying on the outdoor activities that are shut down, like golf being a big one, right? Right.
Pool parties.
That's that
one. Yeah. That's the one that caught me off guard. As soon as I opened, I had, in the first couple of weeks, I had a bunch of guys come in to grab boxes of cigars, and they're like, I just set them out for my buddies at the pool. My first year, I had more of that than I did golfers, and it just blew my mind.
Pool parties, I like that.
I mean, as awareness of the shop has picked up, the golf has overtaken it, but it's like, pool parties, and you get a lot of guys that aren't cigar smokers majority of the year, but when they're around one of us, they're gonna smoke a cigar because we have one.
Yeah, like situational cigar smokers. I'm kind of that way. Like anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a big drinker. It's just not something I've ever had a taste for, and so it's kind of wasted on me. So I'm very much like a social drinker. Very much like if I'm in a social situation, then I'll have a couple beers, but it's not something that I have a wild taste for. And it's kind of like the same thing, but for cigars, right? Yeah,
and it's the guys that they're customers by proxy, right? So because Jim hangs out with Sean's always buying cigars from me. This guy's never bought a cigar in his life, but he smokes 3 a week out of hit,
Sure.
And so you lose that whole market. So it's fun to watch that side of things, try and get a grasp on how it works and that side of, the industry, I guess.
So let's talk a little bit more about the shop. So you guys are, you're not the biggest shop in the area. You're not the smallest shop in the area. What is kind of something unique maybe that you guys do here at Just the Tip that is maybe unique to the Pittsburgh area, or something that you've maybe put an emphasis on, or something maybe that you're doing a little bit different than a few of the other shops?
I leverage technology a lot more than I think the other guys do. To go back to kind of what I was explaining at the beginning is, I want to know what your profile is.
Sure.
I want to know what you like to smoke, and I want to recommend you something new that's in that line. Because, you find your favorites by trying things you do and don't like at all. And so, getting people comfortable with, look, when I make a suggestion, I'm not just telling you, hey, try this cigar because I want to move it. I think this is the next cigar for you to try that, has more of that cocoa essence or has more of that espresso note that you keep telling me about. A drier smoke versus what appears to be a more moist smoke, right? Finding those kind of things and dialing them in, and we're working hard to get some other tools in place to make it so that that's more easily accessible for us, but then hopefully eventually to be where you can just go in and see your own profile and be like, oh, here's what I've smoked from Just the Tip. Here's the ones he has marked with stars that mean I like these ones.
Yeah.
And helping to create some tools, making it more accessible.
Build a roadmap for yourself for when you come visit, whether in person or maybe even potentially online.
Yeah, and that's another one of our struggles right now is we've had some trouble getting the website to where I'm not happy with the way that it is currently.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason we're not selling online yet. I refuse to launch something that's not at least. I have to like it before I can sell it, right?
Makes sense.
To put it bluntly.
Seems very reasonable.
Yeah. So right now I'm not a fan, but eventually I'd love to have our website going and give some of those tools to you and have it be able to tie in with this system and, have your customer profile be the same across both, even some simple things like I'm trying to figure out a way to mark this as a gift that somebody bought for you when they were here, but I put it under your name.
Gotcha.
That way it wasn't part of your selection process, but they got it under your name. So technology is a big one.
But then you have to also have it so that way, if that purchase is made in the lead up to like Christmas, it doesn't pop up on their profile.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see. Or maybe you could have the significant other can build her or his own profile, but that's linked to theirs. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. You get a little creative with it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm bound within a lot of one skill set. I understand enough concepts to come up with cool ideas, but I'm not good enough to actually, I don't have the time to sit and muddle through actually putting it in place.
You and I are similar in that regard. I have great ideas, but I need help with some of the execution. I'm a jack of, I would say I'm kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of stuff, and then really making recommendations and hand holding through the humidor and getting people, like that was a big barrier at the beginning, is a lot of guys didn't like the fact that we're coming in the humidor and chatting to them. You know, people, there was a small percentage, but at first it seemed like there was a bunch of them because, again, for you only have 5 customers, 1 out of 5 is a lot.
Yeah.
1 out of 500 is not. But I had a lot of guys that would come in and, many didn't come back because they're like, well, I just think it's obnoxious you standing here. I apologize. Like we tell you, just ask us not to. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, if you just want to go grab, it's fine. It's not a security thing. And getting guys trained to, like, we really are just here to help you. That was a interesting barrier, and I think we've done fairly well at getting, guys comfortable with it now. And I mean, you've been here enough times. A lot of my guys don't even go in the humidor. Sam, grab me something new. Sam, grab me, something I've had. And it's never, hey, can you go in and grab me this cigar in this size? It's, hey, can you grab me something? And I take a lot of pride in that because they trust my palate on it. And they trust that I know their profiles on it. And it's get back to leveraging technology. It's a lot of taking what's in my head and trying to make it accessible to my guys for when I'm not here. So you get the equal experience, every single time.
Sure. One of the things I also really appreciate that you do, which, it's not unique by any stretch, but something that you do is you keep the flavored cigars separate from or the infused cigars, if you will, is separate from the rest of the humidor. Its own little cabinet, which I think is very much appreciated by a large percent of consumers, whether they realize it or not. It's definitely very, very appreciated.
So that cabinet is 100% there because I had a bad experience with Fat Bottom Betty.
Oh, really?
People kept telling me what a great cigar it was, but nobody ever mentioned that it was very, very sweet, very aromatic, and had a lot of other stuff going on. So I walk into a humidor and I see it sitting next to, a box of Undercrown Maduros, and I don't think twice about it. I'm like, oh yeah, guys keep telling me how good this is. And then here I go, I sit in my shed and I'm getting ready to smoke a cigar the one winter, and I light it up and I'm like, whoa, what? No, And it's one thing, like I'm not a flavored cigar guy. I like I said, I started with nothing but Cuba Cubas, and one day just woke up and didn't like them anymore. Like, I don't have a problem with them. It's just I don't like them. And when you're not a flavored guy and you're not expecting a flavored cigar and you take a puff off of it, it's eye-opening. You're very aware of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was 5 years ago, and I still have that ingrained, how that went in my head, just like, nope.
Yeah.
And, not to knock it, but like, I didn't want that surprise, and I don't want to surprise anybody else that way.
I remember getting it, I got it to my lips, and I did one of those, and I was like, what the heck?
Yep, what's going on?
Yeah. I didn't realize I ordered dessert. What's going on here? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So something else that I think you do a really good job of is, it looks like it's a recent addition, is your pipe display. A lot of, you're catering to a lot of your pipe and a lot of your pipe enthusiasts for both pipe tobacco and then pipes themselves.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is a very recent addition, like 10 days old now, since we just brought that in. We launched it at one of our offsite events, the Sunday Fun Day, which you've been a part of in the past. We launched pipes and Caldwell cigars at the same time down there, and the reception of it was fantastic. I was very hesitant to get into pipes. I had talked to some shop owners, in that Midwest, and a lot of the guys were like, just don't do it. Like, just don't do it. And then
what was the reasoning? What was the rationale?
There's to do by the ounce and stuff like that. There's a lot of effort that goes into it.
Having to weigh
it, check it, and all that. Where, and then a lot of those guys I found, they went to tins as their alternative, and the tins they thought were going to solve their problem. If I don't have to weigh it, I can just buy it, set it on the shelf, and sell it. And talking to other guys, they're like, yeah, that seems to be what a lot of guys do, is they'll bring in pipe tobacco, not want to go through the hassle of weighing it and all that. So they'll just bring in tins, and the tins don't garner the attention. You can't crack open the jar and let them smell it and get them excited for it. You need that bulk there to get them excited about it. So I didn't want to bring pipes in, to be honest. It's, and nothing against pipes whatsoever. It's just, I love cigars. Yeah. I have a blast with cigars. I love, you'd send us some samples, and I was giddy. Like I that's my favorite thing, is trying new sticks and trying to taste the different elegance to each one. And I don't have that love for pipes. But because I do pride myself in being able to help people profile and all that with their cigars, even in the last 10 days, and I've told many guys, like, hey, I'm not there yet on the pipe stuff. They're still coming in and be like, which one do you think I'll like? I have no idea.
Yeah, so you don't have that education, or not necessarily education, but you don't have that deep experience like you do with cigars.
Right, and that's we've got a series of, pretty much every couple of weeks for a little while now. Our rep from the pipe company is going to be here and doing Learn to Smokes and all that, and that's my ability to, pull some of his knowledge over so that I can actually leverage it. And I mean, that's one thing. Like, I tried to smoke a pipe yesterday, and I did a terrible job packing it. By no means was it the worst, but like, I couldn't keep it lit. I should have let the tobacco dry out a little more. Like, I know what I did wrong yesterday, but yet I still did it wrong.
Sure.
So I'm still at that point in my learning curve on it. So there's a little bit of like pipes to me, but enough folks had asked me, hey, can you get just pipe tobacco in? Can you get, just some pipes in? Can you get? And I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do it, like, I'm not dipping my toes. I'm jumping in. And I mean, you've seen the progression of it, how it popped up now.
No, it's beautiful, man. We were here for an event in, I believe it was March, and we got to meet a couple of your customers that were pipe customers, or pipe enthusiasts, and they were smoking cigars, and I think they had a similar relationship to what you have with cigars, but to pipes, and vice versa. So I think they were like enjoying a cigar, but you could tell they're a pipe smoker, right? And so we ended up talking about smoking pipes, and I think I have kind of a similar experience level as you, in that. So when I first started smoking cigars, I also was like, man, the smell of pipe tobacco is incredible. I have very distinct childhood memories of a family friend of ours that used to smoke pipes, and just that smell, I was like, oh my gosh, it smells so good. Yeah. Similar to like what I experienced as a kid with cigars. And so when I first started smoking cigars, I also started dabbling in cheap pipes and trying to find pipe tobacco and enjoying it, but by no means becoming an expert. And that is, I don't think I've smoked a pipe in, it's been at least 10 years. And it's one of those that, like, I want to try and pick up again. And maybe next time I'm in here, I'm just gonna get a pipe, get some pipe tobacco, and sit down with somebody and have them make sure I'm sure what I remember doing, I was doing wrong. So, like, trying to do it all over again. But I think it would be fun. It's cool that you've steered into it. It's cool that you've given that option to your customers. And again, I think it's really good for not just the cigar industry, but the tobacco industry as a whole. That premium tobacco industry. That it's a good avenue to be able to steer into that with your cigar lounge.
Yeah, and it's not, we're both smoking tobacco. I don't care what your format is. Like, we're enjoying ourselves. The whole point's relaxation, socialization, the enjoyment of it. So I fully embrace that side of the pipe stuff. But like, one of the things we had to do to avoid abuse is, pipe tobacco is significantly cheaper than cigars, but you have the initial investment of the pipe and stuff. So, like, there's a barrier there that kind of leans people in and out of pipes, where they're like, oh, I can smoke this way cheaper than cigars. And I have other guys where they're like, well, it's more expensive, but it's more fun, different routes on that. So we actually do a coin system. For every X number of dollars spent, you get a coin, and that's your ability to smoke a pipe in here for the day. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to do cut fees in the shop. I mean, right now we have 3 rules. If you didn't buy it here, you can't smoke it here. So that covers, cigarettes, vapes, cigars that you purchased elsewhere, and it gives a little bit of brand protection. A lot of guys have question, like, well, why can't I bring my own cigar in and just give you, $10 cut fee? Well, because I want to sell these cigars. Like, this is my bread and butter. So, I want to avoid that cut fee and that people bringing their own cigars in. Again, based on talking to guys around the Midwest, a lot of those guys had originally allowed that and thought it would be a benefit to them. And they're just like, yeah, that's none of the guys that stuck with it were happy that they had stuck with it that way or let it get to the point that it was. So with pipes, I'd put this chit system in, is the easiest way to say it. It's basically little challenge coins.
Sure.
And so that was a big nervous point for me, was rolling that out to the customers and being like, hey, you can buy this, but if you don't buy enough of it, you can't actually even smoke it here today. And setting a rule like that, and guys like, well, yeah, but I'm just getting this much. And I'm like, I know, but like the rule is we got to have the coins. And it protects, the guys that are in here every day smoking cigars and hanging out from having one guy, buy this tiny amount of tobacco and sitting here for a week. And it's like, well, come on.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, there's a balance, and it makes sense. And I think a lot of people tend to look at it through the lens of their perspective. And I think being able to look at that through the lens of the shop owner's perspective, somebody else's perspective, right? The shops are so focused on looking at things, trying to look at things through the lens of the consumer. What is the consumer going to want most? And so it's natural that the consumer is also focused on themselves, but oftentimes you have to take a step back and, well, why is this being done? And try and do what you can to also support your lounge as well, right? And so I think, there's definitely a give and take in that regard. And with HDA, we try and approach things the same way, right? Like we have always approached everything from the perspective of a consumer when we started the brand. So it's a lot easier for us than maybe some other brands that have been in the industry for a longer period of time, or maybe have started a brand after they had maybe owned a shop or worked in a shop. It's a lot easier for us to relate to the consumer's perspective than maybe others. And so, like being able to approach everything that we do from other people's perspective is super important. And that's just, I think that's a life lesson in general, is understand other people's perspective. And you might be able to really interpret intention a lot easier.
Yeah, the old walk a mile in their shoes.
Exactly.
So you made me think of a question for you. Since you started your brand, what's the thing that you thought as a consumer was one thing that you were just completely wrong on and had no idea until you got on your side? Like one little, any kind of blurb for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of consumers have heard the adage of 300 hands, or however many hands it is that touch that go into the creation of a cigar. And yeah, it's just hearing it that way is pretty powerful, right? But really understanding that is extremely powerful. And it's not even just the creation of the cigar itself. It's how many hands then touch that cigar post-roll, post-cellophane, post-boxed, before it actually gets into your hand. Yeah. There's a lot of different layers that it goes through, whether it goes from the factory boxing it up, to the guy that takes it to the airport, to the guy that loads it onto the aircraft, to then landing in the States, sometimes hitting a distributor, then hitting a sales rep or the owner in our instance, because we don't have a distributor, we have a few sales reps, but a majority of the cigars are going directly to the owner. Well, all of them are, because then they go from us to our sales rep. So everything funnels through us, right? And then it goes to the shop owner, and then the shop owner puts it on the shelf. Yep. There's a lot of different hands that it touches. And so I think I think one thing for me is like really understanding how many people get involved in the process was not something that I really fully, it was something I think I had guessed, but grasping the full weight of truly how many people are handling your product, and how many people you have to have great relationships with, and you have to rely upon in order to make sure that a dead leaf is delivered to the consumer. Yeah. It's extremely important. I've also realized that, our factory takes very good care of the product. They can only handle it for so far, right? They make sure that product is treated with the respect it deserves, so that way it is arriving at its destination as fresh and as well humidified and as well cared for as it can. And it's what I've realized too is now we need to do our job to make sure that that is not compromised. So we're also getting it to like people that are good stewards and are treating our cigars well, that are not leaving it out at room temperature, or not at room temperature, but at room humidity in a maybe like a not very humid climate, and just hoping that they're going to be okay, or maybe over humidifying them, making sure that they're also treated with the respect and regard that they deserve. So that way an HDA is presented to the end customer in its in an optimal state.
Yep.
You know, there's been times where we've gone into humidors and we've seen like, oh man, you know, dude, they oversaturate their humidor, and it's just way too humid in here. And I know now when a customer comes in, perhaps for the first time to that lounge, and they smoke our cigar, it's probably not going to burn appropriately because it's not stored appropriately. And obviously, I'm never going to tell a lounge owner that, because well, first of all, that's just never going to work. Right. So it's one of those that we've walked away from potentially working with lounges after seeing their lounge in person and understanding that their humidor is just not optimal, and it's just not going to be a good look for HDA. So yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of those like little tiny pieces that making sure that lounges are a good partner for us. One thing that we always say is every sale is not created equal. Right. Just because I can sell to a specific retailer doesn't mean I should, because it's not going to be a good representation of Andre and I and what it is that we're trying to do at HDA.
It's fun because I mean we're both babies to this own business thing, right? And I'm cigar industry.
Well, you're a toddler at this point. I'm still a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
You learned to walk. I'm still crawling.
I don't walk so well. I'm that kid that gets up, sprints until he falls.
Okay.
That's about what more I've got. But no, it always kind of captivates me in like how little people talking about starting businesses talk about that side of brand protection of like, yeah, I can do that and I will make upfront instant money. But if I do that, that's 300 customers that are going to try my cigar and hate it because it wasn't the right way, or
sure.
I again, each lounge has a personality, right? So like when I have to hire the personality that I want to represent me and the shop.
Yep.
And it's, one, you tie so much of your identity to the brand, but you tie a lot of the brand to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, now that we are staffing and stuff like that for the shop, it's like, okay, I have to trust, and that's what made me think of it was you talking about, all the people that handle it on the way.
And what we're experiencing now as we continue to grow is like, we have representation geographically in areas that Andre and I can't be. And so we want our representation, our brokers, our reps to be good representatives of us as well, and make sure that they're representing our brand and our vibe and doing it justice. That's 100%. Everything is an extension of the brand, whether it's the lounge, whether it's a rep, whether it's, our online presence. We want to try and, make sure that it's truly a good representation of HDA. And I'm sure I can only imagine when you have a baby like a shop, like a physical baby, right? Yeah. Having that, making sure that people are doing right by your baby. It's definitely an eager challenge. One of the things that you mentioned is every shop has its own personality. We've kind of talked on that. I want to ask you kind of a fun question. So I'm a big fan of music. I like a lot of different types of music. I'm not a music nerd by any stretch. I sure as hell don't play music, but I enjoy music. If your lounge had a soundtrack, if your lounge had a song that you think perfectly exemplifies Just the Tip, we could go in a really funny innuendo direction with that, which obviously the name of the store is an innuendo. Do you want to apply? What are you talking about, dude?
You guys look at our logo. It's me tipping my hat.
Yeah, just a tip of the hat.
Just tipping my hat. That's all it is. Nothing else will be accepted towards. You could say you cut the tip off a cigar.
There you go. What would be a good what would be maybe a good representation of a soundtrack or a specific song for HDA cigars, or HDA, for Just the Tip Cigars?
I was like, crap, hold on, wait. I was going this way. I would definitely say it would be a jazz Motown of some sort. I mean,
Ooh, I like
the
that.
music that I play in here is, what I think the soundtrack would be.
Yeah, so you keep it kind of light oftentimes with your soundtrack, something a little bit more.
Nina Simone radio is the primary one that we run in here. It's good background music, for people to chat. It's familiar enough that people will sing their song here and there, but it's not so familiar that everybody's busy just listening to music and not socializing. Detouring for a quick second here. One of my biggest points of pride is that TV's almost never on.
Oh yeah, I was in here 2 nights ago. Yeah. I was in here for 5 or 6 hours ish, and the TV never came on.
Yeah. I take a lot of pride in that because the guys are and gals. I mean, we get decent female presence as well, but they're socializing. Like, I want it to be a social thing. I don't want it to be, because look, if everybody comes in here, sits on the couch, watches that, and then gets up and leaves and nobody's communicating, eventually they're all going to build a smoking room in their garage, their shed, and I'm not going to see them anymore.
Yeah.
I want the health of lounges to become a thing again, where it's not just, all day. At that point, that promotes online purchasing in my book. Like, in my mind, that's what it is. So, sorry, I didn't mean to go that far off, but it kind of led me to that.
I'm going to also follow your detour for a second. I think that's very, very, very shop dependent, because I've been in the shops too where everybody like rallies around a specific show. And so the show will go on and everybody's watching the show and everybody's like laughing at something that's happened on the show, right? So it becomes like almost like a rally point, but there is that balance because sometimes people will end up watching quietly. I think a lot of times if you have a culture already built in a lounge where people have gotten to know each other and you use something like a whether it's some sort of like sporting event, like a baseball game or a football game, or maybe it's, like some random show, it creates this almost like fun dynamic where people are like embracing that. And so it brings everybody together. So yeah, there is a balance. There's some shops that we go into that they're like, yeah, we don't even have a TV, which I'm like, dude, that's freaking awesome. There's some shops that they go into, the TV's always on, but that TV always on creates a lot of conversation. So I think you guys do a very good job of at no point when I was in the shop for the event the other night was I like, man, I wish this TV was on, because everybody was having a good time. Everybody was having some great conversation.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It brings a conversation point to it for sure. Like, if the game is on, bro, did you see that play? Blah blah blah. That was ridiculous. We can be angry together, happy, sad, all that. And I think the thing that is on the most when the TV's on is sports. I mean, we're in Pittsburgh. It's Steelers country. Steelers game's always going to be on
for sure.
And just with the different sports, you have that. I agree that it works out really well to have the TV on when you have that sports bar vibe.
Yeah.
And this place, because I used to come in and turn the TV on as soon as I got here, kind of put something on, stage it, and all that every day. And I had more people asking me to turn it off or just completely ignoring it. So I was like, well, I forgot a week in a row. Or every day for a week, I forgot to turn the TV on, and no one noticed or commented. I was like, all right, well, let's see how long it goes. It's been 2 years. It doesn't seem to be the draw. But this is more of I'm sitting in my living room vibe. It's not that sports bar vibe.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that the shops that have this furniture can't still have that, but
I see a lot of you guys have multiple chess tables out as well. So you have more like activities that maybe whether you mean to strategically do this or not, but kind of steers you away from technology. I think that's pretty cool. And it's that retreat that some people are looking for, where they can maybe disappear for 2 hours, burn a couple cigars, talk with people, play a game of chess, and then return to the real world. Right?
Well, I mean, yesterday was therapy day in here. Majority of the customers that came in and had conversations with me yesterday were in some kind of dispute with their wives. I don't know why yesterday there was a plethora of them, but that was the thing yesterday. If the TV was on, they would have never gotten to have that outlet. And I mean, they're not coming in here for me to help solve their problems. They just need to vent.
Sure.
They're having a bad day. Let me just vent this off to you. Cool. We sit, we chat. Some of them come in and talk to their buddies about it. Some just talk to me about it. And I love that camaraderie feeling of it and all that. And like you said, it burns off some steam. They go home. They don't beat their wife when they get there. Yay, success. You know what I mean?
Everybody's happy. Yeah.
It's that kind of situation that I enjoy about this a lot. Is
Yeah. No, I think you guys do a really good job of that. I like to ask on both just in my everyday life, but then also on this video series. I like to ask people a couple of like just random off the wall questions. When I was in the military, you probably were the exact same way. We used to ask a lot of the would you rather or $4 million would you type of questions. Yeah. So anybody that knows me personally knows I'm that guy, right? So I love asking those questions. So kind of along the same vein. One of my favorite questions to ask, we'll start cigar related. It's a very common question. What's your desert island cigar? And it maybe doesn't have to be your number one, but it's at least making your top three. If you're going to a desert island and you're only going to have a lifetime supply of a certain cigar, what kind of pops into your head as like a cigar that you really, really want to bring with you?
probably the Call to Arms by Stolen Throne. I don't
solid.
know what it is about that cigar, and that's what makes me love it. Like, there's just something. I've smoked more of that cigar than any other two in that humidor combined, and I still can't tell you what it tastes like.
Yeah, man. That I'll say that Stolen Thrones is becoming a little bit of a theme on this video series, man. It's just yeah. There's been a couple people that have talked about that cigar. I mean, what Lee does with Stolen Thrones and what he's done with some of those blends is just absolutely incredible. Andre and I look up to Lee. We think he's a great advocate, not only for the cigar industry, but I mean, dude, he makes some phenomenal cigars. Yeah. That Crook of the Crown, I mean, that's like the OG, right? But that thing is like that's a great freaking cigar. I can't even argue with you because that's probably on my short list as well.
It's amazing on that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce one of our old questions at you real quick because I don't get to do this anymore, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask.
Okay.
Do you remember Celebrity Deathmatch from MTV?
I do.
Claymation, the celebrity.
Yeah. Okay. It was like outrageous, like violence, and it was fun. Yeah.
Okay.
It's old school, but yeah, I remember that.
So now you got to picture yourself as one of the Claymation characters.
Okay.
Who's the cigar industry personality that you're fighting in that ring?
Are we doing it? But if I remember correctly, Celebrity Deathmatch. It was very much like it was not like a fun fight. Like they were fighting to the death.
Yeah. This is more. Just for not who do you want to kill. No.
Okay. Because I don't know if I want to answer that question.
No, this is just for fun. Like
who would be a fun person to like match up against in the industry?
Like I picked Coleman from Sinistro simply because that dude would wipe the floor with me. I don't know if you've ever met Coleman, but I have not. No. He's a walking brick.
Okay.
So like it would be over quickly, and we wouldn't have to worry about a lot of struggle.
What would be a really fun one? I feel like I would like to pick somebody that would be very unassuming, that people would be like, nah, man, he'd be totally overmatched and then would come out and just whoop my ass.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the one that pops into my head that is a very unassuming, just because he's such a gentle, like, just nice human. I would like to see him like step into like Celebrity Deathmatch and like pull like a machete out of his hair. Would be like Island Jim. Like Island Jim, because he's such a good dude, he's just laid back. But I feel like in that environment, like he'd turn it on and he'd pull like a shank out and just wipe the floor with me. Right. And I feel like that would be very entertaining. I think that'd be a good one. Yeah, Island Jim just whooping Zack's ass that'd be fun to watch. I might get a lick in or two, but Island Jim would. Yeah, I don't know. He'd do something. He'd have like a trick up his sleeve for sure.
Yep, the whole time sitting there with a cigar, like. What's the matter? What's the matter?
Yeah. No. Andre and I got to meet him at PCA, and his reputation definitely preceded him. And when we went in and got to meet him, dude, just such a nice guy, man. He gave us the time of day. I believe actually you introduced us to Island Jim.
I wasn't going to say.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you provided that introduction to Island Jim, which. Yeah, what a cool guy. Yeah, he was a nice dude, and he brought us over into Leaf and Bean, and he's a good dude. He's a busy dude down in Florida now, so we don't get to see him very often. But I'm every time I see him, I'm gonna now I'm gonna think of him as a Claymation Celebrity Deathmatch guy.
Yeah, that's definitely ingrained. You're definitely the first person to say Island Jim. I think my favorite one was how excited Steve Saka got to say Rocky Patel. So that was like that was a fun one to picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be noted, I don't want to fight Island Jim.
This isn't
Island Jim is the man.
Yeah.
At no point do I want to fight him, but I feel like he'd have some surprises.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would impress.
Yeah, 1,000%. I don't want to fight Coleman. Like that, it would end so bad for me.
Yeah. All right. So along the same lines of the Desert Island cigar, my favorite question is your Desert Island meal. I learned a lot about people this way, right? So for the purposes of this, you have to eat the same meal for the rest of your life. This is all you get access to. Also, for the purposes of this exercise, the nutritional value of said meal is negligible. So regardless of what you pick, it's going to be the same positive nutritional value. So you don't have to worry about like, if you pick pizza, you don't have to worry about like, dude, if I eat pizza every day, all day, it's going to be bad for me. So I'm going to pick something healthy. No, same nutritional value, and you have access to water. All right. So I want you to pick an entree, 2 sides, a dessert, and a beverage that you have to eat. It's the only food and the only beverage outside of water that you get access to for the rest of your life. So we've had some people that went. We've had some people that have picked like their wife's lasagna or something along those lines, or their business partner's wife's lasagna. That was a good one. Yeah. We've had some people that are just very much like I want macaroni and cheese, which I feel you there. I think that's probably on my
my
list.
entree would be sushi.
Sushi.
I think it would be sushi.
Wow. Okay.
Cold, refreshing. I'm on a desert island.
That's fair. That's a good point.
It is in my top meals to begin with, but and you're talking whatever it is. Like if you go order a pizza, it's piping hot. Like if you're on this island, you get a piping hot.
Yeah. It's fresh.
So
it's fresh.
I get it. Yeah. So
exactly. Yep.
Sushi would definitely be high on my list.
Yeah. It's not like lukewarm. Yeah. No, that's fair.
Now, if you said, "Hey, pick one roll," and that's the one, I don't know which roll I would pick, but like
I feel like to keep the integrity of this, you have to pick. Give me at least probably what would be at the top of your roll. You only get one roll.
I like the love roll.
Okay.
Because
I don't eat sushi, so I have no earthly idea what that is. Because that does not sound like sushi.
It's essentially 3
The love roll does not sound like sushi at all. So go ahead. Yeah.
Not going into that stuff. Never mind. But yeah, it's 3 different fishes on it, so you get 3 different palettes all in one thing. So that at least gives me that differentiation. My 2 sides, man. Caesar salad is just a chicken Caesar salad, like a side salad. Perfect with pretty much any meal.
Good
Definitely
stuff.
Doesn't go with my sushi, but as its own little standalone.
I do like a good Caesar.
And yeah, you got mac and cheese stuck in my head, but my buddy makes a smoked mac and cheese that just is to die for.
That is a very peculiar meal. Like obviously for the purposes of this exercise, it makes sense. But if you were to put that all together for the same meal,
it'd be terrible.
It would be wild. A bold choice, Cotton.
My drink is the problem I'm having. It would either be probably. Yeah, it would either be Lafroig 10 Scotch or Braddock General or Brew Gentleman General Braddock IPA. It'd be one of those
Interesting.
two.
Okay.
It'd be one of those 2 beverages to.
Okay.
Because look, if I can have an excuse to always have unlimited access to alcohol on that island, I'm going to enjoy that island a lot more.
That's very fair. And the only thing you're missing is a dessert.
As a dessert, I'm a brownie guy, and it doesn't have to be good ones either. Like the cheap box brownies, I'm a sucker for them.
Edge piece or centerpiece?
Oh,
not for the. I'm just more. What's your preference?
Edge piece without milk, centerpiece if I have milk.
Interesting. See, I think I would almost go the opposite.
Because you want the crunchy to offset.
Yeah.
But if I have the crunchy, I want the crunchy.
No. I'm saying like I would be the opposite if I was getting the edge piece. That's more of a reason to have milk.
Yeah,
than the centerpiece, just because it's a little bit drier, but I love the edge piece the most.
Yeah. Well, especially when like they use like Crisco or lard on the outside, and you get that. Oh,
Let's go, dude.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, Brownie, I like that. That's good stuff.
And what's your meal, if you don't mind me asking?
So I am a giant pepperoni pizza guy. Like that's like my go-to. So like that's a meal. Like obviously I love like steak. I would get really tired of eating steak. I think pepperoni pizza is one of those things I don't think I could ever get
Yeah.
tired of eating. I don't know what it is. So pepperoni pizza, and then my wife makes just like a killer mac and cheese. So mac and cheese would be up there. And then again, these don't go together, but that's by design. I love mashed potatoes. So throw a mashed potato on there for my other side. My beverage, that is probably the hardest one because I really love energy drinks. But I feel like that would get really old after a while though too. So it would probably be a Cherry Coke Zero. I love Cherry Coke Zero like a lot. Or maybe like a Mountain Dew because there's no nutritional value. So I'll go with Cherry Coke Zero though. And then my dessert is easy. It's a key lime pie. I'm a big key lime pie guy. That's the easiest. That's the easiest one.
I love key lime pie. I've only maybe had it 4 times ever. Like there's always just one pie I want more than it. Like I'm a banana cream pie guy.
Banana cream pie is good. I don't know, man. I love that sweet like tart pop of a key lime pie. Tart is like right in my flavor profile. That's what I look for in cigars. No, I'm just kidding. I don't look for tart in cigars. Although I did have a cigar the other day. Yeah, you were the one. It was here that you were telling me. Yeah, man, you gotta try it, dude. It has like a nice little like almost like a citrus like zest. And dude, when you smoke that cigar on the draw, it's like it like hits your tongue with almost like this like really cool like lemon zest. That was an apostate cigar, right?
The little Hana.
Yeah, dude, that was really cool. Like you don't get that super often, but that was like a very apparent like lemon zest on citrus like on the tongue instantly. And then as you brought the cigar into your mouth, it disappears. So it was just like a little pop of it. That was really good. So yeah, but I don't usually seek out key lime type flavors in a cigar, but I do like it in my pie.
So one of the running jokes here, and I don't know if you heard it the other day, but the one guy had said the spark plug, the 450 flathead, he tasted lime in it. And I was like, dude, come on. Like I'm a strong believer in if you taste something in a cigar, you're right. You taste it. It's your experience and how you're tied to that memory. No one can argue with you.
Yeah.
Him, I didn't agree with.
Yeah. Every once in a while, we'll get the same thing, the flavor profile that somebody will bring up in an HDA. I'm like, geez, okay, man, cool.
But now a half dozen guys are claiming that they taste it because he brought up that wonderful power of suggestion is so real in cigars. And it has a neon green label. And I'm like,
okay, what are we doing here?
So, I mean, you could try that if you want another citrus zest and give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't had a flathead. I haven't had a CAO. That's a CAO, right? Yeah. I haven't had a CAO in forever. Yeah, maybe I'll give that a shot, dude. Let's see.
I couldn't find the lime in it with all the people that have told me about it. So.
Yeah. Well, look, dude. One more thing I wanted to touch on before we close it out is you do a lot of events here. I would say that not even just like events like in the store, which you do your fair share of, but you do like a lot of events in your local community. You do a lot of like outreach for like. And when I say outreach, I mean you do a lot of like spreading the word of Just the Tip at a lot of different venues. You partner with a lot of local businesses. Seems like you're very active in the community. Can you touch on a couple of the really cool things that you guys do? Maybe some things that you have that are coming up, or some things that you have that are like fairly reoccurring.
Yeah. So, I'll start with our staple event, which is our Sunday Fun Day.
Yep.
So we're partnered with Liberty Pool Distillery. We do
Liberty Pool is here in the general area.
Yeah,
correct?
It's a local distillery down in Washington, PA.
Okay.
And that event has been incredibly successful for both of us.
Yeah.
I love the mutual benefits of it. We did it. We did 6 months there, 6 months here, and then this year I've been kind of pushing to just stay down there because it's not equitable when they're here.
Sure.
Like I sell less when I'm down at the distillery than I do when we do that event here. They sell significantly less when they're here than they do when we're at the distillery, and I'd rather take that little bit of a loss myself
but still
make it equitable,
but still
and fun,
have it significantly beneficial for both parties. Yeah.
So that's our biggest event each month. That's a recurring thing. Ladies' Night's getting ready to start back up. That's first Saturday of every month.
Cool.
Karaoke's third Tuesday of every month. And then, like you said, I do a lot of off-site stuff. I'm doing a trunk or treat car cruise today.
Nice.
I was at a VFW last week. I mean, community days, all that. We decided after, before this summer started, that I wasn't spending any money trying to advertise anymore, because because we're tobacco, it's so withheld that even like when you pay advertising for it, you just don't get the exposure. You don't get a bang for your buck at all. So I took all of our marketing budget and I bought a spot at every community day I could do, every golf outing, every fundraiser, anywhere I could squeeze and put my tent up with the big 10 by 10 Just the Tip sign on the side of it. We picked a couple locations that were on main roads and did events with people that we knew were losses, simply because I've got 8 hours of a billboard, and we've kind of guerrilla warfared our marketing that way, which is why we do as much as we do. And I don't care who you are. If you're staring at the same color walls all day, every day, it's a sanity check too. So it is nice to get off-site and do it differently. And I really enjoy off-site work. You get to meet new people, and I get to hone my craft a little more, because when I do events, I don't show up with 6 boxes of cigars. I show up with a rack or 3 racks. Each rack holds 50 or 62 different cigars. So like when I did the one big car show where, it was tens of thousands of people, I brought 3 racks of 60 cigars. I brought my entire selection essentially, just representation of each. So but like today's event, like I know this portion of the rack's going to be legacy stuff, this stuff's going to be boutique stuff, this is going to be flavored, and this is going to be packages. Okay. But I still try and cover as many palettes as I can with that. And I enjoy the challenge of building that rack as much as I despise building that rack.
Yeah. No, dude, I'll say, man, you do a really, really good job of your respect for the consumer is very, very apparent. Your respect from a brand perspective, your respect to the brands is also extremely apparent. You're a hustler, man. You definitely are out there. You're definitely working. You're trying to continue to build what you've already built here and continue to make things better for yourself, continue to make things better for all of your partners, and most importantly, to make things better for a consumer. So definitely your attention to detail and the selection in the humidor, why it is that you're doing what you're doing. I've told people before that when it came to like talking to a new lounge or a new retailer, the conversation that we had was the most thorough conversation I've had of any conversation. You sat down and you took notes. You with a it wasn't an iPad. It was like one of those little writing pads, right? And you took notes and you wrote things down, and it was a very thorough process. And you gave us a true shot. And fortunately, you believed in us to bring us in, and it's been great ever since. So I definitely applaud you for that. Dude, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep hustling,
Thanks,
man. We're really, really excited to be working with you. It's been a fun, better part of a year, and really looking forward to quite a few more. So before we sign off, tell everyone where they can find you physically and where they can find you digitally.
Yep. Just the Tip Cigars, South Park, Pennsylvania. We're on Brownsville Road. Google it. It's going to be easier than me trying to give you the full address. All of our socials are all the same. Just the Tip Cigars is our IG, our Facebook, and then justthetipcigars.com is going to be our website. And our website, you can see our inventory live right now. So like if you wanted to see how many HDAs I have in stock, it's a couple clicks away and you can see that. We haven't got it set up for online sales yet. It is definitely a strong part on our list that we're trying to do. And hopefully by the time you guys see this or shortly after, we'll have the website live for sales and actually being able to process and all that. So just keep an eye out for that if you're interested in seeing some of what we got to offer here.
Just the Tip Cigar, Sam. It's been an absolute pleasure, brother. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. HDA Cigars, Lounge Life, and remember, smoke HDA cigars.